here. So how are we all doing tonight? Are we staying warm at least? It's like freezing here. I have not warmed up yet.
I'm just wondering if everybody can hear me. I don't have my headphones. Does it sound okay?
Yep.
Sounds good.
That storm yesterday. Got great big nice windows in my classroom. It was just like so defeating. I don't know what, like usually I'm really excited for snow. And just like me and the kids just looking out at that, it just kept coming down. Like, what in the heck is going on? Like, why is this happening? Like that shouldn't affect my mental stability, but it did.
Let the record show that you guys got the snow and not Northwest Iowa.
My son had his soccer game tonight, and then he has his last one on Thursday. And I'm like, it's going to be night and day different because like Thursday's supposed to be 80, but we're supposed to have like 30-mile-an-hour wind. And then today was cold and rainy. So
Tomorrow will be 70.
I didn't see it, but a snowman with a pumpkin on his head would have been funny.
My daughter made a snowman. I don't know why. That would have been funny. We got pumpkins, like, but Kyhl, I thought that was an Iowa State fan or an Iowa State flag, but it's a Co flag behind you, huh?
Yeah, my wife works at Co, and so I'm in her office. I told her, I said, I'll lay on the bed. And she's like, no, you're not laying on the bed. That'd be embarrassing. So she told me I had to come in here.
Joel, did you find a picture of Scott?
Oh, I was a good creeper.
All right. Well, I am going to go.
I think I should share the full picture before. No, just a second. This will even be. I cropped for that one. Let me share the full one just for your enjoyment.
Kind of scared about what's going to come through, Joel.
It's public on Facebook because I don't think I'm even attached to him, but here you go. If he's not going to provide a picture, we get to do what we want.
And he can't complain.
I love it.
I'll let them choose which one they want to put up as his profile picture.
Samantha, do we have everybody then that we're going to get? Okay.
I'll add in anyone that comes in late, but you're good to go.
Okay. All right. So those of you who are attending, I just want to start by just asking you to contribute to the chat. We'd love to hear from you, your experiences and responses. And then if there's any questions, definitely put them in that chat. If we aren't able to address them immediately, we'll come back. We have some time built in at the end for a question and answer time. We're a pretty small group, so I don't think we're going to have too many issues kind of incorporating in those questions as we go. All right. Just want to start off, though, by having our panelists introduce themselves. Let's see here. I'm just going to go with the order that you guys are on my screen. And so, Tim, you're the first one on my screen. So do you want to start by introducing yourself?
I'm Tim. I'm a new teacher at Johnston High School after being at East High in Des Moines for 15 years, teaching just like a regular computer science. And then in the spring, I have a computer science A. I've taught the computer science principles since it started, and then also teach math.
All right. Kyhl, you are the next one on my screen.
All right. I'm Kyhl Kuhlers. A lot of you probably already know me. I started out 18 years ago as a business teacher, and then with business and computers. Now the last 3 years I've been at Waterloo doing just computers. And so I'm in the IT pathway, information technology. And I teach, I have taught the computer science principles. I'm not currently teaching it this year, but hope to be teaching it again in the future. And so we've had some different struggles, some different difficulties, just with what's important and what's concurrent with the community college and all those sort of things. So we'll talk about some of those a little bit later.
Very good. Chris, you're the next one on my screen.
I'm Chris Kyhl. I am a high school computer science teacher at Osage High School. I also teach our upper level math. I teach anything from intro to all of our freshmen. We have it as a graduation requirement. We have 2 AP classes, game design, and we added Project Lead the Way cybersecurity this year. So.
All right. And then last but not least, Karen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Karen O'Loughlin, and I have taught in Iowa for 32 years. 31 of those, my schedule was split between math and computer science. And this year it is all computer science. I'm so excited. Yes. I currently teach at Ankeny schools at Ankeny Centennial High School. And I'll give a little bit of my journey with the response to the other questions. But yeah, I'm really excited this year. So it's cool.
All right. Awesome. So with that, I'm going to pose the first question here. We'll just go in that same order, but just tell us a little bit about your background, history of computer science at your school, how it looks at your school. So we'll stick with the same order. Tim, do you want to get us started off?
Sorry, my background, I'm a math teacher. Only the last year or so I consider myself a computer science teacher also. So the first year I was doing it, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but my administration supported me and trusted me and kind of let me fail and let me succeed. But then I've, tried to develop through courses as much as I can to get better to where I'm feeling more comfortable now. And then, yeah, just kind of like everybody, just trying to stay current, like Kyhl said, and keep finding new ways to reach kids.
All right, and then Kyhl, you were next.
All right. What exactly is the question? Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
No, you're fine. So what is your background and history of computer science, and what's it look like at your school?
All right, just a little bit of background about myself. Right out of college, I worked at Oral-B Laboratories for 7-8 years, probably about 8 years. And that's back when there wasn't IT departments, because that was in the 90s. I'm old. I just turned 50. So that was back in the 90s. There was not IT departments back then. And so we were part of the finance, accounting, and fell under the CFO. And so I did a lot of systems work at Oral-B, and I really enjoyed that. We had about 8 different systems running the plant, and it was a nightmare because our job was to make sure that information transferred accurately from system to system. And I mean, that in and of itself was like 3 people's job. So we were tasked with at that time to get it down ideally to 1 system, which exists now, SAP, but at that time it didn't exist. And so we got it down to 5 when I left. And so then I went into teaching, and I've been teaching for the last 18 years. And so I love teaching the computer side of things. The business part was okay. And so, but now that I'm doing all the computer stuff, I really enjoy that. Computer science at Waterloo is really, they're trying to get all of the CTE to align K-12. Actually about K-14, 13, because they want to try and get that first year of community college done at the high school if possible. And so there's some things with computer science. They're really focusing that in the 7th grade. And they have an 8th grade robotics. They really right now are looking at the elementaries, how to do the elementaries and what to do there. And how to integrate it. The high school, when they come in out of the middle school, there's kind of a lull for a year or two before they can go out to the career center, which is where I'm at, which is a pull-out, a CTE building in the Waterloo district. And so trying to fill that lull with maybe a 9th grade course is what they're looking at right now at Waterloo, and to see if they can get something, because kids come out of 7th, 8th grade, they're fired up, they're excited. Then they hit 9th grade and they maybe get distracted. I say distracted. They get, enamored by something else, and then that's hard to pull them back to computer science. And so trying to keep that excitement consistently so that then we can get them out into some of the programming courses, database, cybersecurity, virtual reality, some of the things that we're doing at the Career Center. So.
All right, thank you. What about you, Chris?
So this is my 10th year in education. This is my 4th year teaching computer science. I taught down in Burlington, Southeast Iowa for 4.5 years, and now this is my 5th full year at Osage. First year at Osage, I was purely math. I'm a math teacher by trade. And then I got talked into doing computer science, and I met quite a few of the people in this group actually down in Houston, Texas through code.org. And a large group of us went through the AP computer science principles curriculum. And after that full year, Kelly Mauder, who's our middle school, she's also one of the panelists, and I went to the school board. We actually got computer science approved as a graduation requirement at Osage. So all 200 and some kids have to take it to graduate. Which this will be our 3rd year. This is my 3rd year now of doing that. And we've slowly expanded to now we offer, I think we're at up to 7 classes now in computer science. And I just finished my CS endorsement through UNI this past summer. So we've been pretty busy adding lots of stuff. And I guess we also, through Samantha, I don't know if this is public knowledge yet, but we just, I think, put in our application to be a Delta code school as well. So we're just really trying to push North Iowa and trying to get kids the ability to get credit, because I think we were like top 10% of schools in the state the last couple of years as far as AP credits based on population. So we've got, I think I've had 10 or 12 kids in the last 3 years major in CS in college out of 150 kids. So I feel pretty happy about that as well. So we've kind of jumped in head first, and it's worked pretty well for us.
Awesome. And Karen, what about you?
I had to find my unmute button. Computer science in Ankeny has been, like, when I first started there like 30 years ago, we had one course and it was in Pascal. And then throughout that time, and through my taking various like workshops and stuff, we've grown it, and we currently have 6 different computer science courses. We have AP, the 2 AP classes. We have a Python class, C++, C#, and a game design and logic, thanks to some motivation from Chris there. All of our classes are math credits. We're not CTE in Ankeny right now, and we are going to be looking at going through a curriculum review. And so I was I'm looking to gather some information tonight and to see what's working in different places myself. We have had mostly software focused, actually all software focused, but we're looking at possibly expanding into some of the hardware or cybersecurity components as well. And we really want to build out and make a systemic plan like K through 12, because right now it's really been driven by what the students are kind of asking for and my initiative. And so we're finally taking a systemic look at it, which is going to be good. I mean, we have a lot of offerings, but I don't feel it's always like connected or well thought out. We also have some business partnerships. Like we have some businesses that come in on a regular basis and visit with the students, and the high flyers have been able to take some DMAC classes and then get some internships with those businesses throughout the years. And then I'm trying to think, I'm just looking at my notes here. That's kind of about it. I've taught a plethora of introductory languages throughout the years, moving everywhere from Pascal to Fortran to C++ to Visual Basic and et cetera. But so it's been a good ride so far.
Thanks.
Karen, what do you currently teach for introductory languages? Just curious.
We have an introduction Python, and then in the AP, we're actually also part of the, we've gotten the Amazon Future Engineers grant. And so we teach the APCSP, and they use Scratch and a subset of Python in there. Not a subset, they use some Python. We do Java with the APCSA, and then introduction to C# and introduction to C++. So I would not say C++ and C# are introductory languages. Those are our advanced classes, as well as the Java.
What do you do with the C#?
In the past years, well, we are actually slowly, in for better or worse, going away from DMAC credit because they've changed their accreditation, so I can no longer teach DMAC credit because I have to have 3 years of on-site experience or in the field. So we used to have a lot of alignment with DMAC, and it used to be whatever DMAC is teaching. So this year, this is the last year that I'll be teaching it for DMAC credit. So this year they've really ramped it up and gotten it more. The kids are doing a lot of unit testing, and we're doing a lot of just console based. But in the past, we did a lot of the GUI, like labels, buttons, drop down menus, and it was a nice complement to the other languages because it lets kids see that there's a different type of programming besides like the Java console programming and that type of a thing. And so I think if we decide to keep that C# class, we're going to focus it on a GUI type of a development so that kids can see a different type of coding environment, because some kids really latch onto that and other kids hate it. It's kind of like when the kids introduce them to Scratch. Some absolutely love it, and some of them are like, that's not programming. And so I don't know what the future of that course will be. So that's what we're doing currently.
All right. Well, to keep things moving along, I'm going to post this.
Maury, can I interrupt a second? I think you might not be able to see Joel and I on your screen. I don't know.
Yes, I see you guys, but I'm just posting the questions to the panelists.
Oh.
Right now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But to the group of you, I'd like to kind of take a chance. Karen was kind of starting to touch on this also. But what has the path of expanding or adding computer science to your school kind of look like? And maybe think of, what were your biggest challenges to adding or expanding that computer science? What have you seen happening as you've expanded the computer science in your school?
Are you just wanting volunteers for that?
Yeah, I'm just going to pose it. Yep, whoever wants to start it. Does that mean you're volunteering, Kyhl?
Sure, I can jump in. What it's looked like at Waterloo is kind of we went out to the businesses in the Cedar Valley area, Waterloo and Cedar Falls, and said, you know, what skill sets do you need? And so there's some large employers that use programmers in the area. What languages are you using? What skill sets do you want students to use? And then we've incorporated them into the classroom. And so we worked with them to develop some activities. And also we've revolved our curriculum, kind of built the last 3 years, the curriculum around what they're going to need, because they all say that they need human capital. And so, and a couple of them said, you know, they could double their size. They could go from 21 sophomore engineers to 50 sophomore engineers tomorrow if the human capital was there. And so, you know, trying to do it with our local interest. And so that's why I was curious about the C#. C# is huge in the Cedar Valley. And it's used in the game development. And so there's 2 pretty good sized Silicon Valley companies that have moved in and opened offices in Cedar Falls, and they're computer game companies. And they use C# for their development. Forbin, BGM Forbin, which is another good sized company. They do a lot of the websites and programming for banks and medical facilities, hospitals in Waterloo. They use a lot of PHP. And so, which has been interesting because those are 2 languages that I would not have guessed. Python is good and it's used a lot. But you know, in the area, that's not what our local employers are using. And so, you know, I still bring in the Python and show them Python because all the kids know it and they want to see it and that sort of stuff. But then we try and also branch out a little bit into the other areas.
All right. Anybody else want to touch on that topic of what it's been like to expand computer science at your school?
I kind of took a different response to that question when you first posted and sent out those questions. Like in my mind, it was like, you know, what did I have to do in order to kind of get prepared or whatever? And I did a lot of workshops and I participated in a lot of like grants, like we did with the UNI program, where we would go out and I would get some information and I bring it back to the school and then we'd start a class. And I had collaboration with my curriculum department. It's a little bit more tedious now. We've gotten a little bit big, but they still want to collaborate with us and they really want to expand. And so I think most of from Ankeny or where I'm at, the curriculum department has been very helpful in allowing us some flexibility. On the other hand, though, it hasn't been, I felt like, a lot of resources in order to like actually fully build those courses out. And it's been a struggle at times to do that. CSTA has been helpful over the years with just some different stuff and opportunities. And then trying to do leadership roles, like to grow the program. Like I've done an AP reading before, and that really kind of helps expand and get your network going and that kind of a thing. I'm really glad that you guys are doing this with CSTA because I think that will help also just in general. And we did have a pretty strong collaboration with DMAC, but we're going to be going away from that now for the reasons that I said before.
All right, thanks. Real quickly, I'm going to post this to all of you again. So just volunteer, unmute yourself if you'd like to give us some of your ideas or techniques. But what have been some ways that you have recruited students to take your courses?
Give out Tootsie Pops. Hey, pop into computer science, kids. I recruit every day. Like, I just start saying computer science, computer science, computer science. So when kids sign up for classes, they're not scared of the word anymore. It's badger and badger and badger and badger. That's my recruiting strategy.
I've tried to go down into some of the middle schools and 7th and 8th grade, and I work with the teachers. There's 4 middle schools in Waterloo, and so I take students, not this semester because of that COVID, but in the past, I've taken students and to the middle school computer science classes and spent a class period with them, and they show their projects, they talk about their experience. A lot of it is we do a lot with virtual reality. So they set up the virtual reality headset, kids get a chance to put it on, and they get a chance to play the high school students games that they make in class. And so that's pretty exciting, both to see the high schoolers teaching it to the middle schoolers and the middle schoolers getting excited about it. Then I take the middle school teachers, all keep a list of students, and it's just a Google Doc that they share, a Google Sheet, and they share it with me. And then when those students get to 9th grade, they're invited to the Career Center for an afternoon. And usually I try and schedule it the week or 2 before scheduling. So like scheduling is going to be the first week in November. So we can't have them come to the Career Center this year. So we've been doing it virtually, which is not nearly as effective, but it's better than nothing. And so try and just, hey, remind them, hey, you remember this back when 7th and 8th grade, you know, scheduling's in a couple of weeks. Here's the classes where kind of as a sophomore would be good for you to take, and then as a junior, and then as a senior. If you do them all, you can get your first year of Hawkeye Community College. And so we try and really wrap it around that continuous. Now this year, they have us doing some 4th and 5th grade, which I don't know if I'll be able to handle kids that young or not, but we'll see. And it's after school. And so but they're paying the high schoolers to do it. And so it'll be an interesting experience going down into the 4th and 5th grade to see if they get as excited and if it carries through. But it's been successful, and the middle school teachers have done a good job of identifying the students, because it's all about getting the right students in the classroom. Because when you get a classroom of 10, 15 kids that have the same interest, that's powerful. And, you know, they're asking questions amongst each other, and they're way past anything that I know knowledge base wise and coding wise. And that's what I want my classroom to be.
Any other techniques you guys used for recruiting students?
I try to work through the counselors and make them knowledgeable of what we have to offer, and then they will take it to like the informational nights or whatever. And sometimes they've done a STEM fair. Sometimes we've been able to set up a booth at those nights and do some stuff like that. But the outreach going down to the middle schoolers, I did that a few years ago with Hour of Code and that kind of thing, and that helped. I mean, that's where you really kind of got to get them, I think, a lot of times, is started at that middle school level and then build it and get them excited and go from there.
Which brings up, kind of segues into another question that I have for the panelists. Kyhl has kind of touched on it a little bit, and Karen as well, but at your schools, what computer science opportunities exist prior to high school? And how is that impacting your classes?
I can start with that one. We have a K-12 pathway. It's not done with fidelity all the time at especially the lower education levels. I think some of them are comfortable with it and some of our teachers aren't. But all of our teachers have been trained through Samantha and Nuboko in the Code.org fundamentals at the elementary level. And then we have 3 teachers that all of our middle school kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade get a 1-quarter exploratory in computer science. And so by the time they are done with 8th grade, they have gotten the entire Discoveries curriculum. And this is the first year that I've had all the freshmen that have had the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And it's amazing how much more, like we're doing Python and we're having to do block because of COVID, and we're on a 4-day-a-week schedule. And I had 80% of my class, we just finished our first quarter today. It's not really a quarter, but our first course today. And I had, I think, 80% of my kids finish the entire Python class that normally I maybe have 60% of my kids, 50% of my kids finish. And I had like 10 of them say, we want to keep going. And so I put them into the second part of the course. So they start getting into some of the GUI stuff and that kind of stuff. So it makes a difference when it's pushed at the lower levels. Like I can't stress enough how much the Discoveries curriculum helps. So.
Tim, do you have, I can't remember if you said if you had anything that leads up before high school at your school or not?
It's my first year there, and I'm not totally sure yet. At East, we didn't. There wasn't much in the Des Moines schools. There wasn't much of a deal, but I'm not sure in Johnston yet. I haven't even met everybody. So weird year to switch schools.
We have, our high school is 10 through 12, so it's a little bit different situation. We have an 8-9 middle school, and they have like one technology class at the middle school that does a little bit with like HTML and a little bit of coding and stuff, but they really promote the computer science. And so when the kids get to the high school, 10 through 12, they have a variety of options. But I'm going to, again, go back to what Chris would say. It would be great to have that, get them started younger and feed the pipeline. And we're going to be working on that with the systemic approach that we're going to be starting to look at everything.
All right. The next question I'd like to pose to you panelists is, what support do you need to run a successful computer science course or program? I know Karen kind of touched on the role of counselors in that. We've kind of touched on, getting exposure at the lower grade levels. Any other supports that need to exist in order to have a successful computer science course or program?
Admin support with training. Everything is constantly changing and updating, and then being flexible. I am so fortunate to have an administrator that is very supportive, and if I say I want something, there's probably about a 98% chance I can get it. If I need some time off to go do training, there's a guy in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I work with a lot on the VR equipment, VR stuff. If I need to, have some contact with him, we'll make that time and make it happen. And then also being able to visit the middle schools, covering my classes, and just that flexibility. And so admin support is extremely important.
I would echo that. I know for us, it's really important, or for me anyway, having a superintendent that champions computer science makes my job so much easier. Her son is big into computers and now works in the tech industry, and we didn't have anything but an intro level course before. And he was a senior when I started teaching there. And so she just talked about how much of a disservice we were doing to the kids that are in that field. And so we've really just pushed hard on that. And so I think a lot of it is have a superintendent or a principal that's one to let you take risks, and really just pushing it hard in scheduling. And luckily our school board jumped on board too. So.
I like the way you said, let you take risk. That's my experience also, like I said already, but just there's not the workforce, right? A computer science teacher. So being willing to let people learn on the job is the biggest thing that has helped me.
We
I
have
don't have anything new. They all said it.
well, we have about 4 or 5 minutes here before we're gonna get shipped back to the main room. So with that, are there any other questions that you have or things that you would like to discuss?
I think the hardest part for me is that I find that I'm increasingly competing for the same students in my school. We've added a forensics class. We've added, since I've been in this school, forensics, advanced bio, anatomy and physiology. We long had calculus. And so I am getting a few of the basically the kids that I'm seeing go past 1 year in CS in our school are the ones who do have a true interest in computer science. But a lot of the other ones, that students for whom it might be a good field, they're having to choose in a limited number of slots and make decisions. Am I going to take accounting? Am I going to take this business or computer apps type course? Am I going to take our, and stats? And then you have your online courses. And so that's just an observation. I'm not saying that they're making bad decisions, but I get the sense that that's what I'm bumping up against if I want to see an increased participation, unless my board is willing to do something like Chris's and say, hey, you all have to take one course. And honestly, I'm more motivated to try to get a few more kids taking beyond one course, as in our size school. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like. I'm not sure if that's even a fair goal, even though I like it, whether it's a fair goal for all our students.
Joel, I run into that even at larger school, Waterloo. And what I have challenged the counselors to do, and to their credit, they are doing it, is to make choices and to not try and decide things for students. So for example, I had 3 students this last year that the counselor said they can't take your course because they've been in orchestra for 3 years. They need to do it their 4th year. I said, give the student the choice.
Oh,
and
sure.
The parent, all 3 of the students chose to take the computer science and to drop orchestra with their parent approval.
Huh.
So I really had success in working with the counselors through that angle to make sure that the are presented to the students in a fair way so we get a good shakeout.
Sure. Yep.
All right, we are in like our last 60 seconds now before we transport back into the main room. But I would like to thank all of our panelists for taking the time to be here tonight and giving us their take on their journeys and what it's been like to build computer science in their courses. So virtual round of applause to them. the best that we can do in COVID times. So we have about 20 seconds and we're going to start transporting.
20 seconds. What's the thing you were talking about, Kyhl and Samantha, the adult coding?
The what?
The Delta V.